We are going to get started. Hello and welcome to the ARCNA 34 Zoom edition. My name is Matthew and I am an addict. Please help me open this meeting with a moment of silence, followed by the Serenity Prayer. Everyone will stay muted, so please follow along on your own. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Again, my name is Matthew M. I am your host for this meeting, as well as the rest of the festivities. Before welcoming our speakers, we would like to take a second to make a few announcements regarding this virtual convention. First and foremost, while this convention is utilizing both Zoom and YouTube, Narcotics Anonymous as a fellowship does not endorse nor support either company or platform. Because this format limits the possibility for complete anonymity, it is up to each individual member to decide what steps they feel necessary to protect their anonymity, such as removing their last name from their username, turning off their camera if they see fit, and removing the default picture associated with their Zoom account. In addition, this meeting is being broadcast via live stream on YouTube. So please be mindful that at the conclusion, it will be able to be reviewed as well as downloaded, and take that into consideration. In an effort to maximize the security within this platform, the chat function, virtual backgrounds, and all screen sharing options have been disabled. In addition to this, the meeting co-host will be monitoring individual participant video feeds, screen names, and backgrounds. And if anything inappropriate is observed, that user will be removed from the call and will not be able to rejoin. This is to ensure that each convention remains a safe, recovery-focused environment for all participants. Each Zoom meeting will become live 15 minutes prior to the start time to set readers for each meeting, and will utilize the waiting room function. In addition, each meeting has a limited number of potential participants, and once the Zoom meeting is full, any additional participants are invited to watch the live stream on YouTube by searching for ARCNA 34, one word, with a space, and then Zoom. I will put that into the chat, so anybody who's not able to get into this meeting once we hit our capacity can go and view it there. Before getting to our speakers, we are going to have a word from Laura B., our chair of ARCNA. Go ahead, Laura.
Hi guys, I'm an addict. My name's Laura. I just want to thank everybody for joining us tonight, and everybody that this weekend has made this so successful so far. We've had a great turnout, and I really appreciate you guys all showing up. I want to let you know that we are excited to be able to announce the new dates for ARCNA. So the actual convention is going to be July 30th, which is a Thursday. So it starts, there may be some activities Thursday night, but the convention will kick off Friday at noon on July 31st and run through Sunday approximately at noon on August 2nd at the Scottsdale Doubletree. I think Matthew's going to post some links for registration, so you can register for the convention still at arcna.arizona-na.org. There's also a link there to the hotel. The hotel has dropped their rates from $129 a night to $89 a night, so get your reservations now. You can also, like I said, register for the convention. Convention rates are down this year over the last several years, so we're really excited to be able to announce that. Matthew has bandanas as well that the fundraising, so this Zoom edition has been orchestrated by the fundraising and entertainment committee of the ARCNA convention, and they have created these beautiful banners, or beautiful bandanas. And they are available for a $10 donation. Matthew will also be putting that information in the chat. We can hand deliver them if you are willing. We can also mail them out. So get yours before they are gone. Again, I just want to thank everybody for coming. We hope to see you at the convention in July. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to everybody. Thanks again.
Thank you, Laura. Yes, as Laura was mentioning, we have these awesome bandanas. Shout out to Diana for coming up with the logo and the design. They are dual purpose, coronavirus protection, And I will be posting everything about this into the chat. If you're interested in one, as Laura said, $10 donation. We have the ability for either live meetup if you're in Phoenix, or through Venmo. My number is on the flyer. So please reach out to me and we will get you one, as many as you like, honestly. But as she said, they are running, they're running low. So get your orders in. All right. We begin our meetings with readings from our basic text. I have asked LaRonda to read Who is an Addict, and Maya is going to screen share that. And please hold. There you go.
Hello, my name's LaRonda and I'm an addict. Who is an addict? Most of us do not have to think twice about this question. We know our whole life and thinking was centered in drugs in one form or another. The getting and using and finding ways and means to get more. We live to use and use to live. Very simply, an addict is a man or woman whose life is controlled by drugs. We are people in a grip of a continuing and progressive illness whose ends are always the same: jails, institutions, and death.
Awesome. Thank you very much, LaRonda. Next up, we've got Rick reading What is the NA Program? Hold on. And if I can get it on mute. And there we go. Sorry about that.
All right, no problem. Okay, so my name's Rick. I'm an addict. What is the Narcotics Anonymous program? NA is a nonprofit fellowship for a society of men and women for whom drugs have become a major problem. We're recovering addicts who meet regularly to help each other stay clean. This is a program of complete abstinence from all drugs. There's only one requirement for membership: the desire to stop using. We suggest that you keep an open mind and give yourself a break. Our program is a set of principles written so simply, we can follow them in our daily lives. The most important thing about them is that they work. There are no strings attached to NA. We're not affiliated with any other organizations. We have no initiation fees or dues, no pledges to sign, no promises to make to anyone. We are not connected with any political, religious, or law enforcement groups and are under no surveillance at any time. Anyone may join us regardless of age, race, sexual identity, creed, religion, or lack of religion. We are not interested in what or how much we use or who your connections are, what you have done in the past, how much or how little you have, but only what you want to do about your program and how we can help. The newcomer is the most important person at any meeting because we can only keep what we have by giving it away. We have learned from our group experience that those who keep coming to our meetings regularly stay clean. And good luck, Kevin. Can't wait to hear you. Thank you, everybody.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. Next up, we have Denise reading Why Are We Here?
Hi, everybody. I'm Denise, and I'm an addict. Before coming to the Fellowship of NA, we could not manage our own lives. We could not live and enjoy life as other people do. We had to have something different, and we thought we had found it in drugs. We placed the use ahead of the welfare of our families, wives, husbands, and our children. We had to have drugs at all costs. We did many people great harm, but most of all, we harmed ourselves. Through our inability to accept personal responsibilities, we were actually creating our own problems. We seemed to be incapable of facing life on its own terms. Most of us realized that in our addiction, we were slowly committing suicide. But addiction is such a cunning enemy of life that we had lost the power to do anything about it. Many of us ended up in jail or sought help through medicine, religion, and psychiatry. None of these methods was sufficient for us. Our disease always resurfaced or continued to progress until in desperation, we sought help from each other in Narcotics Anonymous. After coming to NA, we realized we were sick people. We suffered from a disease from which there is no known cure. It can, however, be arrested at some point, and recovery is then possible.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Denise. And next up, we've got Kathy reading How It Works. Go ahead, Kathy. 1 second. There we go. You should be unmuted now, Kathy. Go ahead. All right. It sounds like Kathy is not there. So I'm going to go to Annette to read How It Works.
Hey family, my name is Annette. I am a recovering addict. This is how it works. If you want what we have to offer and are willing to make the effort to get it, then you are ready to take certain steps. These are the principles that made our recovery possible. 1, we admitted that we were powerless over our addiction, that our lives had become unmanageable. 2, we came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. 3, we made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. 4, we made a searching and fearless moral inventory of ourselves. 5, we admitted to God, to ourselves, and to another human being the exact nature of our wrongs. 6, we were entirely ready to have God remove all these defects of character. 7, we humbly asked him to remove our shortcomings. 8, we made a list of all persons we had harmed and became willing to make amends to them all. 9, we made direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so we injured them or others. 10, we continued to take personal inventory, and when we were wrong, promptly admitted it. 11, we sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understood him, praying only for the knowledge of his will for us and the power to carry that out. 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, we try to carry this message to addicts and to practice these principles in all our affairs. This sounds like a big order. Thank you. Okay. This sounds like a big order. We can't do it all at once. We didn't become addicted in one day, so remember, easy does it. There's one thing more than anything else that will defeat us in our recovery. This is an attitude of indifference or intolerance towards spiritual principles. 3 of these that are indispensable are honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. With these, we are well on our way. We feel that our approach to the disease of addiction is completely realistic. For the therapeutic value of one addict helping another is without parallel. We feel that our way is practical, for one addict can best understand and help another addict. We believe that the sooner we face our problems within our society and everyday living, just that much faster do we become acceptable, responsible, and productive members of that society. The only way to keep from return to active addiction is not to take that first drug. If you are like us, you know that 1 is too many and 1,000 is never enough. We put great emphasis on this, for we know that when we use drugs in any form or substitute one for another, we release our addiction all over again. Thinking of alcohol is different from other drugs has caused a great many addicts to relapse. Before we came to NA, many of us viewed alcohol separately, but we cannot afford to be confused about this. Alcohol is a drug. We are people with the disease of addiction who must abstain from all drugs in order to recover. Thank you for allowing me to be of service.
Thank you very much. And next up, we have the 12 traditions, but the person that we had who was going to be reading it, their hand is no longer raised. So would somebody be willing to be of service to read the 12 traditions? Please raise the hand, or please push the raise hand button. I'm gonna give it like a couple seconds, and then I'm just gonna pick somebody. All right, there we go. Steve C., thank you for being of service. There you go.
You're welcome, man. Thank you. 12 traditions of NA. We keep what we have only with vigilance. And just as freedom for the individual comes from the 12 steps, so freedom from the group springs from our traditions. As long as the ties that bind us together are stronger than those that would tear us apart, all will be well. 1, our common welfare should come first. Personal recovery depends on NA unity. 2, for our group purpose, there is but one ultimate authority, a loving God as he may express himself in our group conscience. Our leaders are but trusted servants, they do not govern. 3, the only requirement for membership is a desire to stop using. 4, each group should be autonomous, except in matters affecting other groups or NA as a whole. 5, each group has but one primary purpose, to carry the message to the addict who still suffers. 6, an NA group ought never endorse, finance, or lend the NA name to any related facility or outside enterprise. These problems of money, property, or prestige divert us from our primary purpose. 7, every NA group ought to be fully self-supporting, declining outside contributions. 8, Narcotics Anonymous should remain forever non-professional, but our service centers may employ special workers. 9, NA, as such, ought never be organized, but we may create service boards or committees directly responsible to those they serve. 10, Narcotics Anonymous has no opinion on outside issues, hence the NA name ought never be drawn into public controversy. 11, our public relations policy is based on attraction rather than promotion. We need always maintain personal anonymity at the level of press, radio, and films. And 12, Anonymity is the spiritual foundation of all our traditions and reminding us to place principles before personalities. Understanding these traditions comes slowly over a period of time. We pick up information as we talk to members and visit various groups. It usually isn't until we get involved with service that someone points out that, quote, personal recovery depends on NA unity, end quote. And that unity depends on how well we follow our traditions. The 12 traditions of NA are not negotiable. They are the guidelines that keep our fellowship alive and free. By following these guidelines in our dealings with others and society at large, we avoid many problems. That is not to say that our traditions eliminate all problems. We still have to face difficulties as they arise. Communication problems, differences of opinion, internal controversies, and troubles with individuals and groups outside of the fellowship. However, when we apply these principles, we avoid some of the pitfalls. Many of our problems are like those that our predecessors had to face. Their hard-won experience gave birth to the traditions, and our own experience has shown that these principles are just as valid today as they were when these traditions were formulated. Our traditions protect us from the internal and external forces that could destroy us. They are truly the ties that bind us together. It is only through understanding and application that they work.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Stephen. Appreciate you stepping up there. All right. Thank you, everybody else, for reading. Thank you for being of service. To donate to the 7th tradition for ARCNA 34, please use SquarePay. I will be putting a link into the chat, as well as there is a link in the YouTube live stream video. So the format for our main speaker meeting is the topic for our complete convention, which is no matter what. Each speaker will have 45 to 60 minutes to share. If you're continuing that whole time, please do. But if you get to 55 minutes, we will put a screen share up saying that please wrap up in the next 5 minutes. If you wouldn't mind just acknowledging that so that we can minimize it, so that we know that you did see it, that would be very helpful. So first off, we've got Kevin. Let me unmute you here. There we go. You're unmuted. Go right ahead.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kevin. I'm an addict. Yeah. So this is a little strange. It takes me a little bit of time to get used to this Zoom thing. And plus, I'm nervous. So God, please, I'm here. Help. And I appreciate you guys thinking enough for me to share. I know Brenda's a good friend of mine. God bless you, Brenda. Thanks. And I have friends here listening to me who've heard me before. And I don't know why you signed back up, but that's cool too. I appreciate the support. What do I need to say? First thing I'd like to say is I'm 36 years clean in Narcotics Anonymous, which is somewhat unbelievable to me. I never pictured this. Which means, just to say this, I never had a whoops, a slip, a dip, a puff, a hit. You know what I mean? I've been able to pull this off, and through the grace of God and Narcotics Anonymous. And I thought about it today, trying to think of something cool to say. That the obsession to use was removed, and whatever I say today, I am beyond grateful for my life and my clean time. I never thought I would have this life that I live. So sometimes when I share, I sometimes talk about some of my growing pains in recovery, and which is kind of easy to share about. Sometimes I forget to share the joy. So I hope I spread some of that in. And since you gave me 45 minutes or so to share, I got to share some of my shit. So my first sponsor, Kenny N from Rhode Island, who God worked through to save my life, told me whenever I share, I need to share for myself. I don't know what anybody else needs to hear. So this is an opportunity for me to take my inventory out loud. So whenever I get to share, I need to say this. I knew this was coming, so I get to live a little bit better, because I'm afraid I'm going to have to share something out loud in front of all of you that I don't want to say out loud. So I want to thank you guys for keeping me clean and keeping me living kind of good this week. Okay, so very cool. You did good. And so it's funny, on the way to the miracle, right? what do I need to say? I've had a week, just to talk a little bit about here and now. I did my 11th step with my sponsor on Zoom the other night. And so really, we started doing it out in California. I was out there before in the early March when this all broke loose. I was going to Chuck G's 50th year anniversary, and I was out there and it got canceled, and I came back home and I had started some of my 11th step. And what I really want to tell you is it was very emotional for me. And whenever I write, I guess I'm trying to do a good job these days. I've written the steps several times in my clean time. I will say this, the step working guide didn't come out until I was 20 years clean. So you can stay clean before it and with it and do it different ways. But I think the step working guide is a blessing. And so I wrote this 11 step on a step working guide. And I'm always amazed when I put pen to paper that my inventory, it's so, I'm never knowing what I'm going to get out of it. And by sharing it with somebody, it really, the insight they give me by doing it is profound. And I also been blessed where people do step work with me, and I've been able to be an instrument for them. You know, I always say to myself, stuff, why did God save me? You know, why am I still here? What purpose? You know what I mean? I have an unmerited gift of being clean. I did not deserve this. Let's get this right. So just so you know, I did not deserve the life that I have. I didn't do something special to be here tonight. This was a gift that I didn't, you know, I wasn't a good guy at 8 years old, and all of a sudden I got thrown a bone when I got 27 to get clean. So if you can identify with that, I know I'm not alone. I don't think you have to, but I think it's important for me to say it. So I'll touch on this 11th step in a little while, but so you know, if I start talking about using, I will never get to share most of my experience of being 36 years clean. It's very difficult the longer I stay clean to share, you know, this whole journey I've been on. But what I really want to say is my first meeting in Narcotics Anonymous, I was in a treatment center, and they took me to the meeting. The guy, Kenny N, who ended up being my sponsor, says to me, we're going to go to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. And I said, yeah, that'd be cool. I had been to one before when I was in treatment in another place. And the first thing I thought of when I seen everybody on the H&I commitment in 1981 was I wouldn't have got high with any of these people. I would have robbed them. Their mother sent them here, they're lightweights, you know what I mean? They're PO, you know. They all had nice haircuts, they had nice clothes, they spoke well. And really what I know is I felt so terrible about myself. I didn't think I could ever be where they were at. Not that I was that insightful at that time, but I just was trying to disqualify myself. I think we show up, we try to disqualify ourselves. And we either say we're not that bad or this is for lightweights. So my side was, these are for lightweights. So I get to go, but you know, God is good. I get to go to treatment and I get to go to this meeting. And my ego tells me that I will know somebody at this Narcotics Anonymous meeting. There's one meeting in Rhode Island, and there's probably 5 or 6 meetings outside of Boston in 1983. So I go to the meeting, and there's a guy there that I used to shoot dope with, and that I was eating acid with when I was like 13 years old. Long story short, my thought when I seen him was, I said, thank God he's here, because he was burnt out when we were kids. And I ended up saying to him, hey, what do you think of these meetings? He said, I don't know about these meetings. I said, yeah, me either. So we both sat there, we tried to be cool. And I went, so the key point of what I'm going to tell you about this is there was a very pretty girl sharing at the meeting. Key point. So I'm listening to her, and the break comes, and she asked me, would you like to share? And I kind of go, oh, me, and I stand up at the meeting, and I go off for like 10 minutes, and everybody claps when I'm done, and I sit back down, and I go, this might be all right. This could be all right here. People understand who I am. And so the end of the meeting comes, and the guy says to me, "We're gonna stop and get coffee before I bring you back." So I go, yeah, that's great. So we get to this place, me and him are there first, and all of a sudden, all the people from the meeting shot walking in the restaurant. And I start sweating, and I'm like a paranoid freak, and I'm not really digging these people showing up. They're hugging, they're smiling. I don't want no part of this. You know, I know that I didn't feel good enough about myself. I just hated everything about me. All I knew how to talk about was probably where the cop and who was a rat. You know what I mean? And I sat there and they all smiled and all that shit. He finally brings me home. He says to me, "Hey, what'd you think of that?" I said, "Oh, the meeting was good, but it's really not fair that I go for coffee. You know, it's not cool, blah, 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 blah. The other guys didn't get to go." Really, I'm full of shit. And he said, "I'm going to bring you to the meeting next week." I go, "Yeah, that'd be great." So all week, all I can think about is how am I going to get out of going to that meeting, because I don't want to go for coffee. So I go, we get to the meeting. I don't hear nothing. All I can think of is what dope fiend move could I pull to get out of going for this coffee. The end of the meeting comes. The pretty girl who was sharing the week before, she comes up to me. She says, "Hey, would you like to go for coffee with us?" I said, "Absolutely, I'll go for coffee with you," right? So I went for coffee. Everybody's hugging, smiling. I'm a paranoid freak. I got a big wet spot staying under my armpit. I think my best line was, "Oh, it's too bad it rained today." And somehow that was my first relationship not too long after that. But that's a different story for a different day. But you get the drift, right? So the miracle is that the day came that I was one of them people that was going for coffee after the meeting, and I wasn't so paranoid anymore. The hope shot is that I really was ashamed of who I was, and I was really ashamed the shit I had done. I didn't think anybody else had done. I was worse than everybody, and never mind the shit I did, how I thought, how I felt. You know, I don't want no one to know my best thoughts on my best days. I didn't know anybody else was crazy like me. So my journey really says it took me a long time to really thaw out. But I went to meetings every day, and I felt better when I was in a meeting. The magic of the meeting touched my life. And what I want to say, in my 36 years, I have never stopped going to meetings. I don't go to any other fellowship. I go to meetings pretty regularly. I go to at least 3 meetings a week now. I got a home group. I got a sponsor. I just got done writing steps. I'm still scared straight. You know what I mean? I'm fearful that I would get high again if I stopped coming here. So I'm going to meetings for a while. I don't know if there's themes to this stuff. Probably I'm about 3 years clean. And I go to my first convention. And I go to New England Regional Convention, 1986. I don't want to really be there. I'm still somewhat paranoid. I don't like people. I want my back's up against the wall. I was in bike clubs a long time. The drugs I did made me paranoid and really untrusting. I had a little bit of circle of friends, and we were there. And these guys say to me, "Hey, we're going to go to the men's meeting." My first thought is, why in God's name would you go to a men's meeting? There's no women in the men's meeting. That's how I think, right? So I go. I'm really thinking, I don't know what you do when you see the speakers. I don't know what you do when you go to a meeting. My thought is I'm taking everybody's inventory. The guy gets up there, they do the readings, he gets up there, he's got farmer jeans on, and he's from Derry, New Hampshire. First thought, farmer, Derry, New Hampshire. I don't know about you, Derry's, farmers. I said, they don't even have drugs there. They're all addicted to cows. That's about what they got going on. So needless to say, I'm not really giving this guy a shot. He gets up there, he starts sharing. And the truth was, he shared some shit some sexual shit that I had never done, but I understood the shame and the feelings that he had about it. And it probably was the first time that I ever felt that maybe truly I wasn't alone here. That there were other people that felt and thought like me. It was a breakthrough. I cried in that meeting. You know what I mean? I go, you know, I don't know why sometimes I go to meetings and something touches me and it makes all the difference in the world to me. For later on, it'll come to like, I'll be in a place, I'll be in pain, I'll be in some spot where I will remember what someone said. And that was one of them times. But it always happens. Every meeting I go to, I want to say this to you all. I get something out of it. I'm a dope fiend. I'm not going to meetings just for a good idea. I go there, and it might be the last speaker, it might be the last thing they say. Somewhere in a meeting, I kind of physically sigh. I go, oh, thank God I'm here. You know what I mean? I heard the message. So I go, you know, the best meetings probably are the ones that I am of service to, right? Not the ones that I go to be fed. But every meeting I go to, I get what I need. I've never been disappointed. Some of them have been hard to hear it because everybody's making noise. Been hard to hear it because I'm taking everybody's inventory. But I always hear what I need. It's magic. And I always say this, if I knew how this worked, I would sell it. I'm a dope fiend. I would probably cut it before I sold it. The only problem is after I sell it to you and after you cut it, I'm probably going to need to buy it back about 4 o'clock in the morning. That's how I get high. So thank God I don't know how this works. All I know is if I got to go, I think my job being an old timer, my sponsor told me the other day I was an old timer. And it's all right when I tell myself that. It's all right when my people around me tell me that. But my sponsor, who's going to be 45 years clean, tells me I'm an old timer. I guess I'm a fucking old timer. So, which means I'm old. The guy I keep looking at in the Zoom thing, I don't know who he is, that old guy, but it is what it is. But I forgot my train of thought now. But so my job being an old timer is to be, from what I believe for me, this may not be for you, is I need to go to the meeting. I need to be on time. I need to sit up front. I need to be quiet during the readings. I leave my phone off or in the car. I think they're watching me. I'm hoping they're watching me because they're going to learn that you come to the meeting on time, you talk to people, you shut up during the meeting, during the readings, you listen, and you talk to a newcomer at the end of the meeting. And I think that's my responsibility. At one point, I thought I could be cool enough that maybe I go to a half a meeting. Maybe I could read the newspaper at the Sunday morning meeting or something, shit like that. But hey, I want to tell you, if I leave at half a meeting, and I think you leave at half a meeting, the newcomer says, I'm going to get to the point where I can leave at half the meeting. Or I can read the paper, or that phone, that Facebook shit is so important. If I die, well, I'm going to die. I don't know when, but I'm going to die. If I was to drop a pebble in the pond of Narcotics Anonymous, I will be known for put your phone away. I'm not well loved about that in my world, but I would hope that there's no phones in our Narcotics Anonymous meetings. And I would say that it's sacred ground that I go to. I think narcotics saved my life. We should have to take our shoes off if it was up to me. That's how much this saved my life. That's how much it still saves my life. That's how much in reverence that I hold this. I wish I held myself in such reverence, and maybe you, but I believe in Narcotics Anonymous and the life-giving message. So if I don't say anything else, please hear that. I believe in this. And so I hear this guy, I'm 3 years clean, and I start slowly to thaw out. I don't know about your story. It took me a long time. I was very angry. Most of them, when I was getting high, I probably hit somebody every day. I abused somebody regularly. I was just an asshole. And that didn't just go away because I put the powder and the liquid down. My anger and my shit did not go away because I put the substance down. I had it someone in check by coming here and asking God for help, but it didn't go away. And I eventually needed to deal with the shit. I don't know about you. I thawed out enough. And God has always put the right people in my life when it's just in time, right? You know, and I just to say this, whenever I've had growing pains or been in distress or shit's happening, when I get through that, I believe that I'm rewarded for hard work. I usually have a pretty good run. You know what I mean? After that, that I'm kind of like, you know, everything's cool. No chaos, no drama. But I'm probably about 4.5 years clean. And I start remembering shit and I start feeling stuff and I start throwing out and I really don't like it. And I'm with a beautiful woman. I got custody of my kid. We're living the dream. I got a little house. I'm doing all this shit. I've been to college. You know what I mean? I'm doing all that great stuff. One day I announced to her, you got to go. And basically I'm going to meetings and I'm telling everybody at the meeting what's wrong with them and how they should do something to get better. What I was doing was I was trying to set it up probably to get high. It was probably time to get high. I was like, you know, I'm a porcupine by nature. I was really a porcupine at the time. And God throws me an angel, okay, to get through my barbed wire, right? So the significance is it's always someone I never expect. The key point I'm going to tell you is God sends me a woman named Joy, who's, number one, she's clean 2 weeks longer than me. So I automatically don't like her because she's clean longer than me. She's black and she's gay. I grew up in white suburbia. My father's, you know, just about like Hitler. You know what I mean? I grew up in a very prejudiced world. And she's gay. I don't know what, you know, I can't fuck you. I don't understand any of this, right? And she's my friend. So every day I would go eat lunch with her, working in this place. And she would be talking about, oh, I'm in pain. I'm feeling, I got anxiety. I'm depressed. And I'm like saying, will she please shut up? You know what I mean? What is wrong with her? You know, I'm trying to be empathetic. I'm faking it. Oh, yeah, that's great. Good to hear you. All I can think of was, you please shut up. You know what I mean? And every day, same shit. I had all of that stuff going on. I just didn't know the names of it. I got anxiety out the ass. I'm angry. I'm depressed. I got all this shit, but I don't know. It's just who I am. She was able to tell me by telling me about herself the names of some of my shit. I believe when the Indians are attacking the wagon train, if you ain't got enough wagons to circle up, the Indians win, okay? What I know now is my sponsor, her, I had enough of a fellowship that I started to remember shit. And I was probably about 4.5, 5 years clean at the time. And I started to like somewhat remember being sexually abused as a kid. If you would have told me when I was a kid why I started using drugs, I would have told you I used drugs because everybody else was using drugs. The truth was, in 1969 or whatever it was, not everybody was getting high. I went and found the other misfit toys on the misfit island and one got high with them. So I don't know about you, but I think we find each other. You know what I mean? I found my people. And so I started to feel, and I started to go to therapy, and I started to tell my sponsor about this stuff. I was 5 years, 9 months, 13 days clean. And I remembered this whole like episode of being sexually abused. I'd heard people talk about it. I'd heard her talk about it. what I come to realize is the reason I remembered it all that day is because I had enough wagons in the wagon train, and I had enough. God never gives me any more than I can handle. I was well enough to remember, and I was really well enough to find the help to heal myself. I remember going to my sponsor and telling him, hey, I remembered this. And I said, that happened to you? He said, no, but you were all right before you remembered this. And you're going to be all right now that you remembered this. And I'm going to find people to help you. And he listened to me every day. So I know I was sharing that shit out loud. I went to therapy and all that stuff. But what I want to say to you, I don't think I'm alone with any of that. I found freedom from that. I didn't really realize, why do we look at the past? Why do we do a fourth step? Why do we do a fifth step? Why do we look at that stuff? Why do we dig up the shit? What are we, sadomasochists or something? That's what I used to think of. These people are fucking crazy. Leave that shit alone. And what I really realized is I needed to find out my past to see how it was affecting my present. What strings did I bring along to today from yesterday? There are still strings that I have in my life from yesterday. Some of them about being clean. I'll share them in a little while about it. But so what I want to tell you, hard work. I got through it, and I had a couple of good year run. You know what I mean? My life, I can remember being, 7 or 8 years clean. I don't know, I was 36 years old. I could bench press 300 pounds. I had a new motorcycle. You know what I mean? I'm like the cat's ass in my head. You know what I mean? I'm on it. Long hair, I'm half a hippie. Brenda remembers back in the day, right? So I go to, I'm a kickoff speaker at the Martha's Vineyard Convention. So the cat's ass that I think I am, I go share some fucking crazy story. And I don't know if you ever got to share it, something like that. And so I get done sharing, and a couple of girls start coming up to me. Oh, it's great to hear you. I go, oh, yeah, great to hear you. Great. I don't remember that. And so I got a couple of defects and all of this. The only girl that didn't come up to me and say how wonderful I was the one I wanted, if that makes any sense to you. So I chase her. I'm the Friday night speaker, so I got all weekend to chase her around. And Sunday morning comes, and I finally get her to get on my motorcycle. And, this is all your fault because you gave me all this time to share. But so long story short, when I got her, her name was Debbie. When I got her on the back of my motorcycle, I had a feeling that I would love her for some crazy reason. And so I hope this all happens to you someday, that you have wonderful NA love. You know what I mean? I'm like the guy with some time. I'm 8 years clean. She's 1 year clean. The key point of that, I'm saying that for you, I could love her 8 years with, and she could love me about 1 year with, right? So when I was about 6 years clean, I'm leaving this part out. I don't know if I live a step a year, but my 6th year, I spent money I didn't have. I had relationships I shouldn't have. I lived in some defect and some shortcomings. That's for damn sure. And I think that's normal. I think we all need to survive that. Okay. I survived a couple of years living, in disease and still going to meetings, thank God. But I think I had a fall from this image that I thought I was to being a human being here. This is not about getting perfect. I had to realize this is about staying clean. And I need to be able to go to a meeting and be able to talk about what I'm doing and what's going on in my life. The most spiritual concept I know of is that, am I living in a manner that I could say it out loud? I'm a little bit of a sociopath, so sometimes I don't give a fuck. But the moral to the story is, can I raise my hand in a meeting and say what I did today? And most of the time, if I'm, soul sick, I say, yeah, I can say it. I don't care what they think. But the truth of the matter is, I need to, I have like a little bit more criteria than that. Would I want it to be in the newspaper? Would I want everybody to know what I'm doing? My ego says no. So when I'm really soul sick, I don't care about any of that. But this is what I do care about. Would I want my granddaughter to know what I'm doing? There are times I don't want to know what I'm doing. Never mind her to know what I'm doing. And I'm not doing nothing really wrong. But what I want to tell you is, I read some shit at the end of the day. I read a 10th step, and I try to take my inventory. And one of the things I read is that, do I need to tell somebody something? You know what I mean? Do I have a secret kind of thing? And there are some days I go, I don't want to tell nobody that. Fuck, you know what I mean? So that'll get me high again. Secrets will kill us. Okay, so it's not a luxury that I can have. So the most spiritual concept I know, can I live out loud? So some days I'm on it, some days I come up short, but I'm scared. I know when I live in defect, when I become aware of it, my first thought is I'm going to get high again if I don't change this. I got to tell somebody, I need to ask for help. I need to write about it. I need to do something. I'm still scared straight. I might get sick again. One of us, that's why we're all our own eyes and ears here. You ain't got a support system. If I don't have people around me to tell me, hey, you're out of your mind. You know what I mean? If I ain't got nobody to tell me, hey, you're doing good or you're out of your mind, I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. So the reason I said all of that is because my lovely woman, Debbie, we had great NA love, got married, wonderful house, motorcycles. We're living the dream, traveling, you know, making a couple of bucks. And what I want to say to you is, shit changes in relationships anyway, but I changed. You know what I mean? I remember her telling me, you're not the guy I married. I tell her, hey, shut up. What are you talking about, right? So at the time, my higher power was money. I would have told, if you asked me, I would have said my higher power is God. And, you know, the most important thing in my life is Narcotics Anonymous. But the truth was, I was living in disease and I was chasing dollars more than anything else. And I can remember her telling me, I'm building bikes in the garage. Come out in the garage and eat supper. And I'm telling her, are you out of your fucking mind? I'm in here making money. We're going to Florida next month for a month. I got to make money so we can afford to go. You got a car, a house, shut up. Bring me my supper. And she's telling me, you know, a few nice choice words. But the truth of the matter is, she really wanted me to come in and have supper with her. And I had a kid, too, that would have really liked for me to come and have supper with him, too. They were all inconveniences. I was on a mission. Here's the deal. The day comes that Debbie is 6 years clean, living in defect. And so we're making a long story short, the internet, this is long enough when the internet come out, she started acting out on the internet with a couple of guys. And basically I knew it. I told her, hey, you're going to get high again. I can tell you something's wrong with you. You're going to get high. You better be careful. I'm all right. Her mother dies in the middle of this. And we were in Sturgis, and she had to fly home because her mother died. And when she came home, she probably used that weekend, from what I understand. And she didn't say nothing to nobody. I don't know about you, but everybody I've ever seen get high and not tell anybody gets high again. That's for damn sure. And long story short, about a month later, she relapsed. And I needed to tell her to leave. And my ego said, I ain't going to get high with you. But the real deal is, I was going to hurt her. And that woman never seen me angry really at her. Never feared me. And most of my life, most people had feared me somewhere and along the line, from kids to wives to neighbors or whatever. And so I told her to leave because I was afraid that I would hurt her. And long story short, she left, went and stayed with a sponsor, but didn't stop getting high. Was acting like she had stopped getting high. And she called me up and begged to come home. Said to me, "Oh, please let me come home." And I had said, "No, you can't come home." It's about a month later. And 3 hours later, I got a call from the hospital. She had overdosed and died. And the first thing I thought of is I should have loved her better. How come I couldn't love her enough to put up with this? It's my fault. And so I took one of my sponsees to the hospital to go identify her body. And I was driving home, and I got to the house, and Kathy C somewhere around here. Kathy C and somebody else was at my house waiting for me. And there was probably 20 people in my house. 20 minutes later, there was probably 30 people in my house an hour later. And we had a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, and we read We Do Recover. Narcotics Anonymous never rose to the occasion so well. May you have a program when you desperately need it that they will show. I didn't deserve this life. I didn't deserve that support and how I felt about it. So, but you know what happens? My wife's death did for me what no one could ever have done for me, because she made me think about stuff and read books and go stand on my head and go to meetings, and you know what I mean? What her death did for me made me a better person. Also, what I just become aware of is her insurance paid off my house. It's part of a story that I'll tell, and that I thought of all of that at the time. You know what I mean? But not long ago did I sell that house, and I bought a recovery center with the money, well, most of the money. And when I was buying it, I didn't think of that until I was sitting there. I was sitting in the building by myself, and I thought, wow, I wonder what she would think of this. You know what I mean? And I remembered it was really basically her money that paid off my house that I got to sell fucking 20 years later and make cash on. You know what I mean? So funny on the way to the miracle. So how things happen. But when I was 3 years clean, how am I doing on time anyway? I'm almost done.
A little bit less than 20 minutes, Kevin.
Okay. So I'm about 3 years clean. I go to a convention in Stevensville, New York. And I'm at the main meeting, and a woman named Signaler is sharing. And an older woman, she's probably 20 years clean, California. And nothing I can identify with, nothing. I'm looking at this woman, I'm going, oh, this is going to be some shit, some old lady. And some old lady, some old man. You know what I mean? But whatever, you know the deal. So she gets up there and she starts to share. And then she talk about how her daughter had died in the fire. And I hysterically was crying. I was 3 years clean, and I'm sobbing, and I'm going, wow, really, I'm embarrassed. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with me? People are looking at me. And I'm sorry about the F-bomb still. I'm crying, and all I can think of is, why is this bothering me? Why is this bothering me? And she talked about sitting on the floor of their house with all NA people around her, and they had a meeting, We Do Recover. And that how she felt that she was loved and she'd be okay. And when my wife died and I was sitting on the floor crying and we were reading We Do Recover, I remembered that Signaler was all right. And that I might be all right. So I go to these meetings so I can hear this life-giving message. And on this day that I never expected, that I'm going to pull something out of this stash bag I got, or something that's going to save my life like nothing can. You know what I mean? I know that all of us speak like that, and someone's listening. The newcomer's going, oh my God. I come to a meeting in the beginning, I thought my mother paid these people to say this shit. These people, my mother must have told them that. You know what I mean? Getting high in the cellar, falling out or something. You know what I mean? These people, come on, no one knew that. And that's the life-giving message for us. So what I want to tell you is that I survived my wife's death. It took a couple of years. It wasn't. I'm probably still somewhat beat up by the whole thing in a way. But I found love again. I've been married again. I've been divorced again. So you know how that goes. I've been a long time. 36 years. What I would tell you is I was 13 years clean when that happened. I've been clean 23 years since then. I would have never thought that. Never thought. You know what I mean? Time flies and it goes by. So I always used to say all the time, why did God pick me? Why did God pick me? Of all the dope fiends from here to Arizona, how come I got picked? And it was obvious in the beginning. Hindsight, I look back, I go, oh, I got to help start the first meeting in Fall River. I got to do this. I got to do that. I could see a lot of times looking right back. Why? Oh, I wonder why he saved me. This is wow. So now, right? I know God's not done with me. That's why I'm here. I had open heart surgery a couple of years ago, and I'm laying there, and they're cutting me in half. And what I want to tell you is, I knew I wasn't going to die. Maybe I'm in denial or something, but I knew that God wasn't done with me. I knew I'd be different, and I'm different from it, but I'm better. You know what I mean? Different doesn't. I always think different's worse. I always think getting old is worse. You know what I mean? I would want to be nowhere else, doing nothing else than what I'm doing right now. I wouldn't want to be, they say, oh, I'd like to know what I know now and be younger. Fuck it. If I could take a shot now and stay 63, I'll just stay here. This is all right. I can still do most of the shit I got to do. But I'm grateful for all of these experiences. I'm grateful that, I was doing that 11 step. I'm hysterically crying with my sponsor. And we're talking about what's left. Why is God? He's telling me this. What's left for you to do? What do you need to do? And so I'm always thinking I got to go buy another center or start another meeting, right? Really, I need to get better internally. It's like another shift going on, and the awareness I get still from step work, I got some inside stuff I still got to fix about how I think of myself and how I feel about myself and how I sometimes act. And, it gave me all these kind of assignments. Sometimes I don't want to open my mouth, but, so I don't know. My sponsees that I have, are, the conversations that I have during the day with my sponsees and my support system and the people I support is why it's priceless. If I was to judge my life, I would hope I would judge it by them conversations I have, because I am touched. There are people that call me up just to bitch at me and to give me a hard time and to ask me a question, or, you know what I mean? I could not be more important or more loved or more wanted. Sometimes I say, oh, I need a new old lady. You know what I mean? I ain't going right now. I need a new one of them, or I need another that, or I need this. I could use another pile of money. The truth of the matter is, my sponsor gave me an assignment. What I got to pick 5 things I still want to do. I go, huh? Right? I got cut in half. I was able to go to Rome. I went to Israel. I did stuff by myself. I've been able to ride the country 3 or 4 years on my motorcycle. I don't know, but that was a hard one. I got to think about that. What do I really want to do? Not that I'm loaded or nothing, but I probably could afford to do it. So I'm kind of baffled. You know what I mean? So it's really an inside job. Don't matter. It's all an inside job. And I heard something yesterday. When I came here, all I wanted to be is a man of my word. I wanted to be a righteous man. I was in bike clubs, and at the end, I was a righteous biker, right? In the club, right? And at the end of me getting high, I wasn't right. They said, don't shoot dope, don't eat barbiturates, don't do this. At the end, I'm shooting dope, I'm eating barbiturates, I'm a mess. In the beginning, I was a righteous guy. I wanted to be, even though it was a shitty world I was living in, I wanted to be the best righteous guy in the world. At the end, I couldn't pull that off. They threw me out. I couldn't even, I failed in the land of misfit toys. And that was great shame for me. You know what I mean? And so there are characteristics of my personality. There are traits that I got that I would like to get rid of. This is my awareness on this 11th step. And so I got some work to do. You know, it's time to dig in the dirt for a little while. I'm sure that the reward will be beyond my wildest dreams, like it always is. So you guys asked me to share. I'll shut up in 2 seconds. So I'm on a big thing about people's names being on flyers, right? Because I think I don't know how we're ever going to reel this in, this Zoom thing. We're all talking on Zoom, and his names and his histories and his workshops and all that shit. So I've been talking shit to everybody, right, about this. And the next thing you know, Brenda asked me to share, and my name's on a flyer, right? So God has definitely got a sense of humor, because I'm talking shit to my sponsor about it. All the guys in California are doing it. And the next thing you know, my name's on a flyer. So I had to do some soul searching about it, right? And what I really realized is I wasn't so caught up in it once it was my name on it. I don't know if it was my ego, or if I somehow got an awareness that it's all good in the big anonymity world. But so I didn't have all my ducks in a row. My sponsor's telling me, well, why do you think that? So I went to an 11th tradition meeting a week ago, and the guy shared all about people sharing and, special speakers and all this shit. And I went, wow, I got all my ammunition. And that's the day after is when I got my name on the flyer. I said, you people, I said, God, you're fucking with me, right? So, my name's on the flyer. You're all right. The moral to the story is I got to do some the Guiding Principles book is screaming at me in the corner that I got to go do some homework. So I appreciate the thought, you guys. I'm honored that you would listen for me for this long, and I probably spoke far long enough. So thanks again. God's good. Appreciate
Awesome. Thank you, Kevin. And we're going to unmute everybody to give him some love here. So I'm going to unmute everybody.
Hi, Kevin.
Thank you, Kevin.
Kevin.
Thank you.
Love
Thank
you.
you. Message. Thank you.
Keep in
All
Texas.
right. Thank you very much, Kevin. Next up, we have Colleen. Let me unmute you here. And there you go. You are unmuted. Go right ahead.
Yay, thanks. Hi, I'm Colleen. I'm an addict. Waiting for the response. It's not going to happen. It's this, and I agree with Kevin. Kevin, I love you. And it's been years. It's been a really long time since I've seen you. And it was really nice to hear you. But I think, when Kevin started off, he was sharing about getting adjusted to Zoom. And I think that the wildest thing about this is that I can't feel or hear you guys. You know what I mean? Personal contact is so important in Narcotics Anonymous. And so I can't, it's like you almost missed this kind of energy thing. And it took me a while, especially, I don't know, I'm going to say being a woman, but maybe just being an addict. When we first started Zoom, getting away from looking at myself, oh, sit back, wait, put it at an angle, turn the light down, I'm not 26 anymore, that kind of thing. But you know what? I've been getting naked emotionally and spiritually in Narcotics Anonymous for a long time. So you got me, baby. This is it, Thank you very much for asking me to be here. It truly is an honor to do anything for Narcotics Anonymous. And I was very honored and very excited. And I was able to just lose myself in Kevin's experience, strength, and hope, which was really nice. Make me forget what I'm going to do. Because, my palms are still sweating. And I still have all that like emotional energy that goes on with opening myself up to you guys. And that whole flyer thing, I have to laugh because, so I get the text last night from my friend in New Hampshire. I live in South Carolina, and she's like, "Are you speaking at a convention?" And I'm like, "Yeah, how do you know that?" Like, how do you know? She's, Then I get a text from a friend of mine in Seattle. "Are you speaking at a convention tonight?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." So I go to one of my daughters. I have 3 daughters. I said, "Isn't that really weird that like these people are calling me up and asking me or texting me and like, saying, 'Are you speaking at a convention?'" She said, "No, Mom. It would be really weird if my friends called me up and said, 'Is your mom speaking at a convention in NA?'" Like, this is Narcotics Anonymous, and we're just in a different world right now. And I'm really, really grateful for how creative we are and for the ability that we have to take something very dark and make it okay, that we are all sitting in here. I could cry, that we're all sitting in here in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting together. Thank God to this thing called Zoom. And I'm really, really, really grateful for it. I gotta put my glasses back on. I don't know, people. Just give me 1 second. I don't even know why I just got so worked up, but I just did. I got really worked up. I don't know where I'd be without Narcotics Anonymous, and I don't really want to find out. I am really, really grateful for this fellowship that has given me like the ability to be able to come on here and get uncomfortable, the ability to stay clean no matter what. We talked about, that being the topic, no matter what. And pretty much coming up here and sharing my experience, strength, and hope is the message of no matter what. And how small this world is and how big it is at the same time. And like I met the speaker Kevin when I had about 8 or 9 years clean in a Narcotics Anonymous convention, and he was in a meeting crying about losing his wife. And I reached out to him at that point, and he was still a very big badass biker dude, and wasn't really interested. And he was kind of like really, a bit of an asshole to me. And he knows it, he's well aware of it. And like a year later, I spoke at the Martha's Vineyard convention, and he came up to me crying. And we had a lot of similarities in our stories, but different, just a lot of the same like inside stuff. And that's what, and I've had the gift of seeing him throughout the years, and each of us watching each other grow as men and women, like watching him share his experience, strength, and hope. And I remember being at a convention and him sharing about like he was doing yoga, and I was like, "Oh, Kevin, I'm really proud of you." Like it's just like, stepping out of his image. And that's what we do here. We come to Narcotics Anonymous and we step out. And I have to tell you, a simple message of Narcotics Anonymous just will always ring true for us. And that's all I've got for you. My experience and strength and hope doesn't change. My story grows because I stay here, but like how I got here and the things that got me here doesn't change. And if it wasn't for the 12th step of Narcotics Anonymous, I wouldn't be here, because you guys were here for me before I even knew that you were here. You were praying for me, and you had motivation in your hearts to help save addicts out there. And because of you living the 12th step, I'm in Narcotics Anonymous. Because when I came to Narcotics Anonymous, I didn't know that this was going to be a place that I was going to stay. My clean date is February 8th, 1989. So I've been here for 31 years. And I started coming, thank you, I'll take that. I started coming long before that. I started going to meetings, and I started picking and choosing what I was going to hear and what I was going to understand. But the things that happened to me since I've come into Narcotics Anonymous are all a direct result of you guys working the 12th step. It's you guys that had these spiritual principles in your life, and that you were sharing them with me. And it was just the simple little things, even if it's just, we talk about being of service, being in service, however, there was this whole big debate the other day. And if you want to mince on my words, go ahead, knock yourself out, or you can just like open up your heart and open up your ears and hear the message. But, it was this simple little stuff like, everybody's not going to be a convention chair. It's not everybody's thing. But don't minimize how important it is to give that hug to the newcomer. Don't minimize how important it is to give the hug to the person that you don't know in that Narcotics Anonymous meeting, because you don't know where they are or where they're from or how long they've been here or where they're going or what their backstory is or what their future story is. Don't assume because someone has time that they don't need that hug. Don't assume because someone has time and they're in a different area that they're not in pain, or they're not even here to share. Like they're here like with extreme joy too, because my life is not pain today. My life is a big, full, round ball of every emotion and everything because of Narcotics Anonymous. I've been allowed to feel joy. I've been allowed to feel pain. I've been allowed to feel sorrow. I've actually been allowed to feel serenity, which woohoo, who knew that, you know? I've been able to like feel even keel. And from the moment that I came into Narcotics Anonymous, like I said, even before I was ready to be here, you guys were ready for me. And throughout my journey of getting clean, all kinds of crazy stuff happened to me. As far as, you know, I talk about it a lot. You know, I would go into a Narcotics Anonymous meeting and I was told to bring my basic text with me. And what it really did for me was it helped me during the readings. Instead of me looking at what shoes you had on or looking at you and thinking that you were full of crap, or like looking at you because you were hot. Like it gave me, like I would open up my basic text and I would read the readings, and like it kept me very, very focused. And very, very early in recovery, I lost my first husband to an overdose. He was 29 years old. And I had 59 days clean at that point. We were already separated. We had 2 children, and it was like a very, very devastating time in my life. What happened there was that you people carried me. That's what happened there. I was never left alone. Never, like never was I ever left alone. And at that point, I still didn't even feel like I knew who you were. But like I would do things like go to the bathroom and I would come back and I would take my book and I would go home and I would open it up and there'd be like a $50 bill in my basic text. And like I shared about this the other day, I don't even know who put the money there. Or I would, like at the time I smoked, I quit smoking many, many, many years ago. There would be a $20 bill in my cigarette pack. You would tell me to come to the diner and I would say, like, I can't, I don't have money. And you would buy me a burger and you would say, buy someone a burger someday. Like from the very first time that I came in here, you guys taught me how to be a human being. And I didn't know that's what you were teaching me. All I wanted was for the pain to stop. And the only thing I knew was that drugs caused pain. And if I could just control that, then I can control the pain and I'm gonna be okay. I didn't know that this was a new way of life, even though you told me that over and over again, even though that's what was shared in the readings, even though that's what you shared when you raised your hands and you opened up your heart. You talked about a new way of life, and I didn't understand what that meant. I had no clue. I'm really, really grateful that I've stuck and stayed to see what that is, and it just never ends. It never ends. The process of learning and growing in this fellowship never ends. I was thinking about the other day, you know, sometimes like I have a light bulb in my head, and I was just thinking about how like everything I really needed to know how to stay clean, I learned in my first 90 days. And everything that I learned in my first 90 days is the same stuff that I still apply today. Like if it works, don't fix it, right? And that doesn't mean that I did the 12 steps in 90 days. That's not what I'm talking about. You guys still were teaching me the spiritual principles, and you were telling me stuff like work the steps. So like you would teach me right from there. Like that's what I needed to do in order to stay clean. You told me to keep coming back, and like, you know, to like, you know, keep coming back. So like I'm in there and I'm a mother of 2 little kids. They're 6 and 3 years old, and I don't know how to be a mother, and I don't know how to take care of them, and I don't know how to bring them into a meeting, never mind take care of them at home. I'm bringing them into a meeting and you're telling me it's okay, you go in the meeting and we'll watch the kids for you. Like that's what was done for me. I wasn't told to take my kids and step outside the meeting. I was told that I'm going to show you how to be a mom. They didn't say I'm going to show you how to be a mom, because I probably would have told them, you know. However, that's what they were telling me. I'm going to show you how to be a mom, you know, by bringing, you know, telling me bring toys. You know, I always joke around and say, so I brought drums, and they were like, no, try coloring books, you know. But like you told me to keep coming back, and you gave me the tools how to keep coming back right away. And so like today in my life, with, you know, with my 31 years clean, I still keep coming back no matter what. Like no matter what happens in my life, I still keep coming back. You told me whatever I put before my recovery, I better be willing to lose, you know. And like for a very long time, and here's the really cool thing, is that like what that was then is very different than what it is now, but only because of what I did then am I able to live the way I am now. Because anything I put in before my recovery, I better be willing to lose. That meant that it wasn't about going to holidays with my family and skipping a meeting. It was about saying I love my family, showing up, and then going to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. It was about bringing my kids to meetings, even though I didn't have a schedule for them, even though they weren't going to go to bed when all other kids went to bed. They were going to go to bed when I got home from Narcotics Anonymous meeting. They were going to go to bed after I went to the diner, because that's what we did. because I had to put my recovery first. And if I didn't have that vigilance and I didn't do my 1990 and 1990 over again, 1990 over again, and 1990 over again, till I put together 18 months, 2 years, and kept coming back, I don't believe that I'd be here today. And I don't believe that I'd be able to be the mom that I am today. Today, you know, now that I have a foundation, anything I put before my recovery, I better be willing to lose. But you guys have taught me how to make my family part of my recovery. Before then, I was getting clean and I was dragging them through my recovery, and I wouldn't do it any other way than the way that I did it. I don't believe that I'd be here. But today, like if my mom, you know, who's 86 years old, you know, needs to go to a doctor who has Parkinson's, or I'm asked to speak at a meeting, I'm saying thank you, but my recovery tells me I have to take my mom to the doctors. That's something that I wouldn't have been able to do in early recovery, that because of the tools that you guys gave me, because of what you taught me, like I'm able to do today, you know. You told me to get a support group, right? You know, and like I tried, like at first, you know, like, you know, my story starts out with Vinny, you know, like, you know, because I'm a woman, and, you know, like I came in here and it wasn't the women that I was attracted to at first. And Vinny was just my friend, and Vinny never became anything more than my friend. But the amazing part of that story is that I could not stay clean. I was not doing the things that I was told, and I kept coming to meetings, and my sponsor told me to hang out with another addict and I would stay clean. So I spoke to Vinny and I asked Vinny if I could hang out with him, and he said, yeah, I'm going to court, want to come? Like, that's only attractive to a woman in Narcotics Anonymous, by the way, you know, like, you know, everybody else would be like, you know, whatever, you know, see you later. But I'm like, court? I'll go to court with you, Vinny. And I'm all like getting all excited because I'm going to be alone in the car with Vinny going to court. And Vinny talked about God, and Vinny talked about prayer, and Vinny talked about his fiance, you know, and I went to court with Vinny, and we left court and we came back and we grabbed something to eat and we went to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, and I got my first day clean, and I have not used since that day. So taking those suggestions, you know, from the very beginning saved my life. What my support group looks like today is very different than what it looked like then, but it still includes men. But I need to say that I'm from the school of men with the men and women with the women. I'm from the school of, you know, women sponsor women, men sponsor men. That's not to tell you that you're doing something wrong. I'm sharing my experience, strength, and hope with you. And that's something that's very important to me. And I was told from the very beginning, and especially being a woman who wanted validation from a man, I wanted validation from a guy. You know, I was told that a man will pat my ass and a woman will kick my ass. And that's not to say that you guys are all dogs, but it's what I understood. Like, and that's the part that's not insulting. It's what I understood. Like, we all talk about, you know, where we came from. We're all different people, and that I understood, that registered for me, you know. And like today, I have many men in my life, you know, and you know, including my husband. But I have men in my life that are part of my support group. But I have this core group of women that that get me like no man could, you know. And I'm not saying I don't have men that don't love me and carry me. I have men that have been there for me when I am at the bottom of the barrel, you know. And if you stay clean in Narcotics Anonymous long enough, life is going to happen. Life on life's terms happens. My life has not been this, you know, like I haven't been farting fairies and roses out my butt. Like, life happens to the extreme. The most amazing things happen, and then, you know what, like sad things really happen, and even bad things happen. And bad things happen to good people, and it has nothing to do with God's will. It has to do with life on life's terms. And that's one of the things that you guys taught me. And I have been carried like out of the dark more times than I can possibly express, count, or explain to you in this fellowship since I've been clean. And I have no doubt that whatever road I hit, that you guys will be there for me. And you know what? This is my 5th area since I've been clean. So when I say you guys, you never know. I might live in Arizona someday, and you might be carrying me out too. Because that's like, I get to live wherever I want. I was told that I can do whatever I want when I stay clean. I was also told that if I didn't do it clean, then I never did it. Like, I have not experienced it yet. And that was actually a really cool thing in early recovery, because like, I remember the first time I skied without being high. Like it was like learning how to ski again. Or the first time that I saw a sunrise and it wasn't pissing me off that the birds were singing, you know, or like, you know, like anything. And because of Narcotics Anonymous, I get to choose how I live my life and where I travel to, and what I do with my life and what I do with my children, and all my experiences. And that's mind blowing because I don't know about you. I'm pretty confident that you came in here a prisoner like I did, you know, and I'm not talking, I've never been arrested. I'm not talking about that kind of prisoner. I'm talking about a prisoner to the disease of addiction. The disease of addiction owned me, you know, and it was through you guys and it was through the love. I get really like corny and, but it's the truth. It was the love of the fellowship. Yes, Narcotics Anonymous, the program, the 12 steps, the 12 traditions. I couldn't be here today without that, but I couldn't have gotten clean without you. I couldn't have gotten clean without the program, without the fellowship of Narcotics Anonymous, without you guys loving on me and being there for me. So I have a support group today. And because I've lived in 5 different areas, you know, people kind of trickle over from one area, like, you know, like I still have people that I'm very close to that live in different areas of our country. And I'm very, very grateful for that. I was told not to have expectations, right? That, man, to this day, that one gets me. No expectations. So that expectations are a resentment in the working, right? And like, even knowing that, I still, to this day, struggle with not putting expectations on people. And one of the things that I'm famous for putting expectations on is that I expect you to love me the way that I love you. And like what I've like really come to understand is that as far as, you know, as far as friendships and the fellowship, as far as relationships with people, that sometimes people moving on has nothing to do with me. It has everything to do with them. Like, I want to take on the world and I want to figure out, and I want to, you know, I had an addict once call me up and tell me, you don't love me the way that you used to love me. I don't even, like, I don't have words for that. What I can tell you is that it shattered me inside because I viewed this person as, like, you know, the closest woman in my life. And what I said before the conversation ended was, you don't get to tell me who I love and how I love. And, like, you know, if you're telling me that your love button stopped, that's okay, but mine didn't. So, like, you know, what I've learned in Narcotics Anonymous is I've learned how to love people from afar. And I've learned that everybody doesn't have to love me the way that I love them, but it's like, it's a difficult, hard road for me. I was told to stick with the winners, right? But then I was told, you know, don't judge, right? So how can I stick with the winners and not judge, right? And like, that's one of those double-edged swords. So what I really learned was I can judge, but I can't condemn, right? And sometimes I get confused with that, you know, because stick with the winners, we're all winners. Like I'd like to say that at first, like, everybody that has a day clean is a winner. But like, coming in as a newcomer, what I viewed the winner was the person with the most clean time in the room wins. You know what I mean? The person who has the biggest car wins, the person with the house, you know, because that, as a newcomer, that's what I viewed as a winner. Today, what I view as a winner is someone that is showing up no matter what. That, like, when their ass falls off, they pick it up, put it in a paper bag, and go to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Someone that, like, left this fellowship and relapsed and has the courage to come back. Like, that's a winner to me. Someone who has the courage to tell me that they made an error or they've learned a lesson, to make an amends to another human being. You know, we have these steps, right? And we practice these principles in all our affairs. You know, some of our steps are major action steps, you know, and when another addict that's harmed you, or when you've harmed another addict, been on both sides of the coin, and you go to make amends to an addict, that's some powerful stuff, you know. And another thing I've learned is that amending relationships doesn't always mean that that relationship is going to be okay and be right. Sometimes amending a relationship means it's the end of the relationship, and you can still learn to love some from afar, you know. And if it wasn't for these steps, and it wasn't for the traditions, and it wasn't for the way that they were delivered to me, I don't think that, like, I would be here today. I don't think that I would have the courage to be the woman that I am today. And that woman is, I'm a good woman, but I am also a woman with lots of lessons to still be learned. I'm a woman who sits in judgment on some days. Like, you know, like, some days I sit in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting and I don't know, it's almost like I get hit in the head with a brick, because I find the noise that goes on in my head, and then I think, boom, like, who the hell do you think you are? Like, where do you think you are? How do you think you got here? Sit back and just listen, you know. I've learned that everything that I think doesn't need to come out of my mouth, and everything that I think doesn't mean that's who I am either. Because I think like in this area, I really never heard it before, but in this area that I live in now, which is a wonderful area, Sun City, is just full of people that are full of love. They say all the time, first thought, wrong thought. And I don't necessarily buy into that whole school of thought, but what like was told to me by my friend a long time ago was like, if he said, if every thought that came out of my head was put out on a piece of paper for everyone to see, I wouldn't have any friends. So it's not what I'm thinking, it's how I'm acting. You know, again, an action. It's not, you know, gratitude is an action. Love is an action. Acceptance is an action. Those are all things that we do that we have to like move ourselves to make happen. You know, so I'm really grateful that everything that goes through my head, I'm not condemned for. So I was talking about judging and condemning, right? So if you're telling me that I have to be careful, you know, I don't let everybody in my home. In Narcotics Anonymous, I hug everybody and I'm there for everybody and I show up. I don't necessarily even need to be invited to show up. Like when someone's hurting and someone needs something, Narcotics Anonymous taught me to show up. If something happens to a home group member, we show up. If something happens to someone in the area, we show up. That's what I was taught. And I was taught that by being shown that, right? But I also, like, you know, this is my home. This is where I raise my children. This is my safe place. You know, the first time I had addicts in my home in early recovery, a woman stole my jewelry. Now, I'm not saying that's why I don't let people in, but like, we can't forget who we are when we first come in. And I have children that I chose to raise that you guys have taught me to raise. So my home is something that, like if I'm invited to my home, that's a big deal, you know, like that's a big deal. And I invite a lot of people to my home, but it's still a big deal, you know, but like, I just like, I don't know. I just was taught to be aware, and it's not, I'm not condemning you, but I'm judging the situation. Like I've been taught how to like weigh something out. I never knew how to weigh anything out. I was an either all or nothing girl. Everything that I did to please other people. I was a big people pleaser. I wanted you to like me, like no matter what. In active addiction, I wanted you to like me no matter what. And I was willing to pretend I was something that I wasn't. You know, I remember before I got clean, before my husband died and we were separated, and I was like out on a run of active addiction, but I was on a run of men along with that. Like that was my story. Was if you said hi to me, in my head, I was already marrying you. I already had my furniture in your house. I already was wondering if my kids were going to have their own room or not. Like, you know, like, I mean, all you did was say hi to me. Never mind going on a date. You were screwed. You know, you went on a date with me and I picked out the ring. You know what I mean? Like, it's just that, you know, that's who I was. And I was dating this guy that like, I wasn't like even interested. I was kind of dating a couple of guys, and he I don't know if you want to call it dating, but I'm going to call it dating. But he treated me with kindness and respect, and that was really hard for me to accept. And I wasn't used to that, and it wasn't anything like I was still really into like the whole bad boy thing, you know. But we would go out, and one day I'd come out and I'd be wearing like a pink prairie skirt with like this little white eyelet, you know, shirt with buttons and a little collar and these little flat ballerina shoes. And then the next time he'd come pick me up, I'd have on black, like fake leather pants with these boots with steel tip toes, and, you know, this freaking, you know, black laced up shirt up to my neck, you know, and, you know, black eyeshadow. And the next time he would come pick me up, I'd be wearing like an Indian skirt with a headband, and, you know, and like one day he was like, I never know who I'm going to pick up. Like that was like so exciting to him, you know. But what it did for me, it was like, well, who is he picking up? Like, who the hell am I? And when I came to Narcotics Anonymous, that was like one of the things that I had to figure out, like who am I? Like I can't continue to be, I can't be that chameleon and fit in like wherever I am. Like I can't go into a biker bar and be a biker, and I can't, like, you know, go to a Dead concert and be a Deadhead, and I can't, like, that's not real. So like, who am I? So in the process of coming to Narcotics Anonymous and stop using drugs so I can stop numbing that feelings and stop numbing who I am, I had to figure out exactly who I was. And like, it took me a while. One of the things that I found out through years of work, and it took me a good decade, is that I like who I am. Like, I actually like me. I came into Narcotics Anonymous, that girl who apologized for my existence. I constantly apologized. I would say I was sorry. You would say, don't say you're sorry. And I would say, I'm sorry. Like, that was who I came in. I didn't come in with low self-esteem. I came in with non-existing self-esteem. And by coming here, and by taking your suggestions, and by getting a sponsor, and by doing the step work, I was able to find Colleen. And then I was able to admit that I didn't like Colleen, and I didn't even know why I didn't like me, that I didn't know who I was, and I didn't know where I was going, and I didn't know what I wanted to do. And like, even though I got married and I sponsored women, and you know, I was very, very involved with this fellowship, it was still a very long process of me getting to know me and getting to like be okay with who I am. And it was only through the freaking love. It was only through you guys loving me through all my bumps and bruises that I was able to find that. And like I am who I am. Like, I'm a nerd in a good way. I'm a lot. It's kind of like my higher power, you know, like you guys told me I can have a higher power of my choice. I don't know. I'm sitting in my kitchen right now. And by the way, I want to say to everyone, thank you for inviting me to your homes, because that's one of the really weird things about Zoom, is that we invite each other into our homes. And that's, you know, as I was just saying, that's something that I don't do like with like 100% of the people. So thank you for inviting me into your rooms. And some of you are really comfortable. Some of you do shit I would never do, like lay on the bed with your hand up over your head and looking like you're posing and stuff. And that's good for you and all. But like I sit in my chair and I'm like, okay, like, you know, get my head in there, and like, you know, like I don't, you know, not too many wrinkles, you know what I mean? Like let's just keep it going, you know. I don't smoke, so I'm not smoking. If I eat, I put my stop video on, because I don't want you watching me eat and stuff, you know. And like, it's just, you know. But I'm sitting here in my kitchen. This is my kitchen, right? So it's kind of funny. One of the first things that I ever shared about that was an outside thing that made me feel good about myself when I got clean was having a color coordinated kitchen. Like, I remember, like, I had hand-me-downs for so long, like I couldn't even buy my kids clothes, not because I didn't have the ways and means to do it, is because I chose different things instead of choosing my children. And they had like hand-me-down sheets, like I didn't even know that existed, you know, but that's what we had. And in the end, like, I lived in a basement apartment. I joke around in South Carolina because I'm like, you don't even know what a basement apartment is, because they don't have basements, you know. And I slept on the floor, and my kids slept on a bed only because my mother bought them a bed. And I had a refrigerator that like never had food in it, you know. And I had this like oversized pillow that I slept on, and someone gave me this little like square thing and a TV with freaking antennas and aluminum foil. And like, that was our home, you know, like that was our home. And I didn't have a car anymore, and I had lost the jobs, and I wasn't welcome in the freaking bars anymore. And I got clean, and I got married, and we moved into an apartment, and I went to a store, and I bought blue dishes, and I bought towels with blue hearts on them, and I bought like a little shelf with a blue heart cut out. And the outside stuff doesn't make us who we are. But what had happened for me is that like, that outside stuff was showing me that I was starting to be a woman in Narcotics Anonymous, because I didn't feel like a woman for a really long time. And it meant a real lot to me. And I remember I have a friend, I think she's on here with me, from Staten Island, and she still remembers I used to say, like, I have a color coordinated kitchen, like I just won the lottery. So it's kind of like funny that like that's still something that I really have. But sitting behind me is actually like my grandmother's dishes. I'm a really sentimental woman, and those were her everyday dinner dishes. And I have a man that lets me have a pink kitchen, and that's pretty badass if you ask me. The kitchen is my thing. But like, I was talking about like getting to know who I am, and getting to know who Colleen was and how I operated, and not being the woman that I was in active addiction, which was a woman with no self-esteem and no self-respect, a woman who used anything, anytime, anywhere. I couldn't go to the bathroom, go to the supermarket, take care of my kids, put peanut butter on bread without getting high. To a woman who sits here today, who has 3 beautiful adult children, 2 beautiful grandchildren, married for 30 years, you know, a mother that that depends on me, and that I am dependable today, all because I walked into a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. It says in our literature, it talks about like the last thing that we expected was an awakening of the spirit. And like, that's the biggest gift that Narcotics Anonymous gave me, was the awakening of my spirit. I didn't even know that I had a spirit, never mind that it was freaking dead, but I had stuffed it and smothered it and destroyed it with a disease of addiction. And the disease of addiction smothered me and gave me nothing but low self-esteem. And today like I said, I actually really like myself. So I collect Pyrex bowls, like they're vintage bowls, like from the 1950s, 1960s. I collect aprons and I wear them, like vintage aprons, like I wear them when I cook. So, you know, coming from the theme of like that I have a color coordinated kitchen, I always share in meetings, like I'm a nerd, like I love Mickey Mouse, and, you know, like I used to, you know, the things that I used to do. I'm kind of a little freaked out that we're on YouTube, but, but anyway, so like, and I collect Pyrex bowls and I wear aprons. And what I didn't understand was that like the newcomers in the room thought I was collecting Pyrex bowls, like pipe bowls, and like I had no clue. And it was like a bunch of people got together and approached me in a group of people to ask me why I collected bowls, like, you know, whatever. But I collect the bowls that you mix food in, you know. And anyway, that's just I don't know, makes me laugh. But here I am sitting in my kitchen alone and I can't feel the response from you. So just pretend to laugh right now, throw your head up and down, slap your knee, it'll make me feel better. You know, thank you very much. So, but anyway, like I was saying, it was the stuff that you guys taught me in the very beginning, and like that all still rings true. And I'm trying to think, my sponsor asked me, you know, I came into the Narcotics Anonymous meeting and like I have big hair, I don't know if, and this is tamed, but like I have really big hair. So like now picture my hair active addiction without hair products that we have in 2020, the hair products that we had in 1989. And like my hair was like a freaking pyramid, and I reeked and I smelled and the stuff was coming out of my pores, and I still thought somehow I was hot. I'm not really sure how. Maybe it was because of my body size, but I just totally lost my train of thought, but that's okay. Oh, Jesus Christ. But I came into the rooms of Narcotics Anonymous and like looking like that and feeling like I was something else. And the woman that was sitting in there raised her hand after I shared that all the stuff that I already told you, that I thought that I was the biggest piece of crap and that I had no self-esteem and like, you know, like not realizing like exactly what I looked like. And she told me that she admired me. So like from the very beginning, I heard something that I never heard before, like a woman sitting in there with clean time. She had 9 months clean. She might as well have walked on water. And she told me that she admired me for having the courage to open my mouth. I didn't get clean right after that, but it was her suggestions that got me clean. And it was by me trying to take those suggestions that got me clean. She used to tell me all the time that I didn't have to take any of her suggestions, but I better be willing to pay the price for every one that I don't take. You know, and that's really important. And that still applies to my life today. Like when my sponsor gives me a suggestion, I don't take it, I better be willing to pay the price. And the consequences, they could be very large. The consequences could be very small. I don't get to choose that. So I have to be very careful in what it is that I'm making a decision on. So one of the things that she asked me was I into slogans? You know, you come into Narcotics Anonymous, you have all these things up on the wall. And like, you know, the meeting room that we used to go to, you know, this particular meeting, because I went to the same meeting over and over and over again before I ever went anywhere else. You know, other fellowships met there. So there was all these, you know, signs upside down and, you know, just, you know, all our slogans, keep coming back. It works if you work it, you know, think, and it's upside down and, you know, whatever. And so she's like, well, you know, can you get into slogans? And I was like really proud of myself. I was like, yes, Budweiser, because you deserve what every individual should ever receive. You know, like I can't tell you how long that took me to memorize, how many years ago, whatever bar stool I was sitting on, but I was extremely proud of it. And she was like, not really thinking about that, but like, thank you very much for sharing, you know. And like, you know, the things that there are things that people say, and Kevin touched on it, there are things that people say that I heard in a meeting that I'll never forget. One of the things that my sponsor told me, my very first sponsor told me, if I don't pick up, I won't get high. that saved my life. Like that saved my life. I know that you said it before. I know that I heard it in meetings before, but that saved my life. Another one was that they used to say it all the time where I got clean. And again, it was misinterpreted by people when I've repeated it. And I always tell people, if you don't understand what I'm saying, please ask me. But that we have to step over bodies to stay clean. That doesn't mean that we have to step over dead bodies to stay clean. That doesn't mean that if you're using or if you're hurting, that we're going to walk over you and we're going to forget you. What it means is that, like, no matter what goes on in Narcotics Anonymous, people are going to use, people are going to leave us, and we have to stay vigilant and stay strong, and we have to keep marching. That's what I heard. We have to keep marching, and you know, for whatever reason, that me as a newcomer, that was something that was drilled into my head. That saved my life when Kevin died of an overdose. When I had 59 days clean, all I could think was like to keep marching, like to keep going, like it's going to be okay. I got to keep going. Like it's not like an experience that I wish upon anybody else, but it's an experience that I had. And like, you know, I'm in a meeting and I can't breathe and I can't think, and I just told my children that their dad is gone, and all I could think of is just like keep stepping over the bodies, just keep stepping, like it was a message to me like none I ever heard. And I believe that my higher power was present with Michelle, my sponsor, my first sponsor, long before I came in, for like, you know, because that's nothing I really hear all the time, but that was something that she drilled into my head. And like, thank God that she drilled that into my head. You know, they told me to make 90 meetings in 90 days, you know, and that like, if I skip a meeting, I don't get to make it up by having 2 meetings a day. And I remember calling her up and telling her that I was going to go on a date with a guy from active addiction, and I wasn't going to go to meetings. And she told me I'd have to start my 90 over again. I got really pissed off. And I ended up not going. Like I was going to leave state with some guy. I had like 30 days clean. I was going to leave state with some guy. And I remember like I didn't go, but I was so pissed because I didn't understand that 1990 was like something, like I didn't get the hook. You know what I mean? 1990, come on. You know, like I thought like, oh, I do 90 meetings in 90 days and like I get a reward or something besides a key tag, a star. And like, that just like annoyed the hell out of me. But enough that like I felt like I worked so hard for the clean time that I had that I wasn't willing to give it up, which was very different for me because I was going to have someone that was going to be telling me things that I wanted to hear. You know, she told me to bring my children to Narcotics Anonymous meetings. And I didn't want to bring them. I joke around all the time. I say I suddenly became mother a year when I first got clean, because it was like 90 meetings in 90 days. And I'm like, well, I have kids. And she was like, well, bring your kids. And I'm like, I'm not bringing my kids to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. Like all of a sudden you're like all evil people, you know? And she was like, well, how did you get high? And I was like, I got high in front of them. So she was like, well, bring them to a meeting. Same thing with like, you got to go to 90. I don't have a car. Like I have to tell you, not having a car never stopped me from getting high. It never stopped me from getting anywhere that I wanted to go, but suddenly it was going to stop me from going to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting. So she said, well, call me and I'll pick you up. And I said, I don't have a phone. And she said, here's a quarter. Like, you know, like walk to the payphone and call. And like the most important thing about that stuff is that everything that was offered to me was followed through, because when I popped the quarter in the phone, someone picked it up. And if they couldn't pick me up, they told me to call someone else on my list, and I would call someone else on my list, and they were like, they would come get me, you know. And I went to they told me to get a commitment, right? And like, you know, like I told you, I learned everything I needed to know in Narcotics Anonymous in the first 90 days, right? Because I still have commitments. Like I was told to get a commitment, and like, you know, we're addicts, and I'm sure many of you have the same experience that, you know, like I got a commitment. I got like a coffee commitment at like 5 meetings, because like that's what we do, you know. And that someone was trusting me enough to let me go into the building first and open it up and make coffee. It was mind blowing to me. But so I got like all these coffee commitments, and what that did for me was that told me when I didn't want to go to a Narcotics Anonymous meeting, I needed to be there because I told you I was going to be there. And I already had that sense of like, I have to show up when I say I'm going to show up. Like you taught me that by example, not by telling me you have to show up when you say you're going to show up. You did it by the way that you did it. Like, you know, like Kevin was talking about, by sitting in the room, by showing up, by being there. When I got there, you were there. When they said the meetings before the meeting and the meeting after the meeting, you were there. So like, I knew like that's how it worked, you know? And like today, like I serve a convention committee, which by the way is TunaCon in Myrtle Beach, plug. And we're not really sure what we're doing this year yet, but it's in November. So check it out, TunaCon. Anyway, that's the ultimate Narcotics Anonymous convention. But anyway, like, so like I've learned to continue to be of service in this fellowship. And I've also learned the things that I also learned the things that I'm not good at. Like there are things that I hate doing for Narcotics Anonymous, and I don't have to do them. Like, you know, like everybody has their thing. Like I said, we could be of service by giving someone a hug, by giving a newcomer a ride. It doesn't have to be, doesn't have to be chairing a convention. Thank you to you guys for doing that stuff. That's really, really hard work. Thank you to this committee. I'm a really good worker bee. That's what I've discovered about myself. When I'm put in a position, I mean, I can chair subcommittees, but chairing a convention, I'm not a fan. And I really am looking forward to this year ending because it's just not my thing. But like, put me out on the floor, you know, put me down with programming, you know, I'm down with that stuff. Give me, you know, events and activities, but yes, but like, and it's okay that I'm not good at that stuff. And that's like, so, you know, you told me to get a commitment 31 years ago, and I haven't stopped being a participant of Narcotics Anonymous. I had people that told me stuff like, don't be a thief, you know, don't come to Narcotics Anonymous and give it back, you know, like, do be of service, you know, and so that's what I've learned here. I don't know, I can't say enough about this fellowship. You guys, like I said, have carried me, you know, carried me through some really good and some really amazing times and some really sad and really tough times. And without you, I don't know where I'd be. And I choose to never figure that out. Like, I'm going to be a member here and I'm not going anywhere. And I can say that today, that like, you know, we talk about the obsession to use being lifted. I'm not saying that I'm never in pain. I'm not saying that I'm exempt from using, but I'm telling you that tonight I'm going to put my head in the pillow and I'm going to stay clean. The longer you stay clean, I think that my ego plays part in the, like, don't pick up, you know, like, how the hell do you come back? That kind of thing. That's why I was saying, like, it takes so much courage to come back. I'm really, really impressed with the people that that show up no matter what, you know, like no matter what, because it's not easy being that person. And we've all seen it too. You know, the other thing about narcotics, we've all seen that person that comes in for 5 years and getting the white key every 30 days. And we've all been that person. I'm sure. I'm gonna suck you into my little loop. That's been like, when the hell are they gonna get it? When are they gonna understand? When is enough gonna be enough? Like, I don't get to pick their journey and I don't get to pick their process. And really, when I get like that, it's really out of fear. You know, I want everybody to get this, and I understand that everybody can get this, and but I understand that it's not my choice whether you get it or not. It's also not my place to judge, and I'm not saying that I don't, and I never had, but on a good day, I know that's not where I need to be. One of the things that I learned in Narcotics Anonymous that I heard when I had about 2 years clean, I went to a camp out in Connecticut that I repeat all the time. People say it back to me all the time is, say what you mean what you say, but don't say it mean, but say it. You know, like, we're taught that we're each other's ears and eyes here in Narcotics Anonymous, but when someone calls me on my shit, suddenly I have an attitude, you know, like, you know, like, you know, you know, but like, if you see me doing something that you think I'm going down the wrong path and you're in my support group, you better be telling me, even if I go to you. I want to know it. I need to hear it. Like that, like that's part of what we do here. We're here for each other, and we're each other's ears and eyes. And that also means that, like, if someone's nodding out in a meeting and you think they're high, don't go out in the parking lot and talk about it. If you haven't walked up to that person and said, "Can I have your keys? Can I help you?" Don't go out in that parking lot and talk about it. You know, like, I've had the uncomfortable moment of asking people, "Are you high?" Of course, they say no. It's really funny because I'll go, "Did you use today?" And they'll be like, "No." My husband will walk out to them and go, "You're high, huh?" And they'll be like, "Yeah, I just asked them 5 minutes ago." I think it's like in the delivery, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what it is, but like, you know, but like, I'll be like, "Well, you know, you're nodding out." And they'll be like, "Well, no, I'm really tired." I said, "No, like, when you're tired, you fall asleep. But when your head goes all the way to the floor and pops back up again, like, that's called nodding out." You know what I mean? So, like, "Can I have your keys?" And if you say, "No, I can't have your keys," and I talk to other addicts and you're still not giving me my keys, I can't tackle you. That's not my job. But what I do know is that when I leave that meeting, that I know that I did everything that I could to make sure that you left that meeting safe that night. And I'm not going to be the one in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting saying, when you hit the tree and you kill yourself, "Oh, I knew he was high." Like, if you know someone's high, say something. Like, this is Narcotics Anonymous. It's like, people get high. This door goes both ways, right? This is not a place for only clean people. It's a place that we want you to come back clean. We want you to be clean. We want you to learn how to clean. But if you're high, please stay, just sit down and stop talking. And then that doesn't mean that's not the guy that we don't hug. We hug you, we love you, we still take you to the freaking diner. Because if you guys didn't do that for me when I was out there, I don't think that I'd be here today. Like I have my basic text, right? And it's so weird. Like, why do I take my basic text out and read it before I speak as if something that was going to hit me, as if like, as if I'm going to learn something to tell you that you don't know or that I don't know. But for some reason, it's kind of like wearing my NA jewelry. It makes me feel armed, you know? And I open up my basic text and I'll open it up randomly and I'll look for something highlighted and whatever. And then it doesn't really end up really affecting me anyway, because God always seems to kind of step in and take over. And it really has nothing, like if I start planning what I'm going to share, I'm screwed, which is probably why I'm all over the place today. So good for you guys, you know? But like today, when I opened up my basic text, this little card popped out. It's like I have weird things in my basic text, not a lot of them, but I have a 4-leaf clover from a girl I used to sponsor a long time ago. And I don't know who she is anymore. I don't know where she is anymore. I don't know if she's dead or alive or clean. I know nothing about her. All I know is that one day she gave me a 4-leaf clover and I put it in my basic text, and every so often I come across it. But today when I opened up my basic text, this card fell out, a little business card from a man that I used to know a long time ago. And he's not with us anymore, and he died clean, and his name was John, and he was called John the Jeweler. And I met John when I had about a year clean in Connecticut. He was selling jewelry. He was a big old hippie guy. And he had hair down to his freaking, I think his beard was longer than his hair, you know? And the man like dripped in unconditional love. And he taught me so much about love, and he taught me so much. And I remember, you know, I've been married for a long time to the same man, you know. I have this thing I say every time I speak and I share about my husband, Timmy, I love you very much, is that we don't date, we pack suitcases. You know, there's that old joke, how you know when an addict's on the second date, they're moving trucks in front of the house, right? So like, you know, I met Tim, and within 8 weeks, I moved my children. I was newly widowed, you know, even though, you know, we weren't living together anymore and blah, blah, blah. But like I moved to a different area completely. I had 9 months clean. I remember going back to my area and telling them, you know, I'm in love and I'm moving to another area. And they were all like, did you talk to anybody about this? Like everybody was like really alarmed. And like, you know, I'm not telling you to go out there and get in a relationship, because that was one of the things I didn't take the suggestion for. I can tell you that you can't recover off of someone else's recovery. I can tell you that embedding yourself up someone's ass doesn't work. I used to say I was so far up my husband's ass, you can only see my feet hanging out. You know, like I tried to like get recovery like that way. And like, that was like true for me. And that caused me a lot of pain. I wasn't capable of like going to a convention and going to a meeting that I wanted to go to. I would go to recovery and relapse because that's where he was going, and I never relapsed. Like that, just like that kind of stuff, you know. But you know, in the process of our marriage and in our long relationship journey, of course, we've had ups and downs because nothing's perfect in this world. But my husband had relapsed, and like I was getting all this kind of information from all these kind of people. You know, people would tell me to change the locks on my door, and you know, like just everyone had ooh, someone's taking a selfie. Hi girls, what about me? Take my picture, Laura. Yeah, I'm watching you this whole time, talking, ignoring me. No, just kidding. Anyway, you can take my picture though. Anyway, so I'm sorry, I'm picking on you. John Mulligan, I met him at a camp out. I lived in Staten Island. He lived in New Hampshire. And all these people are telling me what to do. They're telling me, change the locks on my door. You know, now, what I was taught was like, we have the disease of addiction, right? So like, if my husband had cancer, would I leave him? Like, that's that's the stuff that like went through my head, right? Like that I needed to like stand by him, but like I was very conflicted on what was going to happen with my relationship. And I felt done. And I'm telling this man, John, that we knew that like I couldn't do this anymore. Like this wasn't going to happen. And John just started talking and telling me a story about his marriage when he was in active addiction, and about his wife and about his kids and about how it was the lack of love that kept him out there for so long. And that if I had any love in my heart for him, that all I needed to do was to love him. This guy had a license plate that said love on it. That was his license plate. It was like a I don't know, like a T and then love and then like whatever. And he just kept talking to me about love and about what it is to love someone unconditionally and how do I want to be loved. You know, Kevin talked about, can I say anything in a Narcotics Anonymous meeting or in front of my granddaughter, not be ashamed? And it was like, and John was asking me that same question, but about love, like, how do I want to be loved, you know? And do I want to be walked away from? Do I want to be supported? Do I want someone there for me? How did you guys love me? And am I willing to give him that same kind of love? You know, I really think he saved me that night when he talked to me on the phone. And not only did we meet when I lived in Staten Island and he lived in Connecticut, but because God has just a funny way of working. Many years later, we ended up moving to New Hampshire, and we ended up, living in the same area as John. John ended up sponsoring my husband at one point for a period of a few years, and we had a long, loving, lasting friendship. And right before John passed, I was given the gift, because God gives us these little miracles all throughout our recovery without us even realizing it. I was given the gift of, I was on the phone with someone. I called someone in New Hampshire. I lived in New York. I left New Hampshire, went to New York, and she happened to be walking into the hospital to go visit John. And I got to speak to him on the phone and tell him that I loved him. And it was a week later that he left us. And so tonight, before I shared, I opened up my basic text for that moral support, and John's card fell out. And so as I'm sitting here waiting to share, my friend texted me and he said, I'm waiting to get some Colleen love. And it was just like only here in Narcotics Anonymous, like I was taught a long time ago that there are no such things as coincidences, that this is a fellowship of miracles, that this is a program of miracles, that like miracles are going to happen. And I was told when a miracle happens to sit back down because there's another one coming. And like you guys taught me how to embrace even all the little miracles in my life, not just the big ones. I just gotta please take the next 5 minutes to wrap up your share. Thank you. So I gotcha. But you guys like taught me how to embrace all the big miracles and all the little miracles, and even the miracles, even like in the pain of things. I can't ever express my gratitude or my love for Narcotics Anonymous enough. Like I said, gratitude is an action word. So like I've learned how to like show up and how to give back. And I don't know where I'd be without you guys. And I don't even want to guess. Like, I don't even want to figure it out. I don't even want to try it. Like, I don't want to leave. You guys taught me how to be a mom, how to be a daughter, how to be a wife, how to be a friend, how to be a member of Narcotics Anonymous, how to be a real person with, and be okay with my defects, how to be a better person. Like the day that I think that, that someone in Narcotics Anonymous can't change and recover is the day that I have to give up on myself. Because it doesn't matter if you've been here for 5 minutes or if you've been here for 40 years, right? If they can't change, like, you know, listen, people live the way that they live, right? So like if I'm judging someone who's been going to a prostitute for the past 10 years, and I've done that, right? And then I can't believe that they can change at any given moment that they want, then I can't believe that change can happen within me. And I think that I deserve to change if I'm willing to show up and put the work in. So I believe that you deserve to change too. So like we can't give up on people, like no matter what they're doing. We all have our thing, man. We all have our thing that we hold on to. We all have that thing that that is our weight, that's our anchor, that we have to work extra hard at, that maybe you don't. Like, you know, maybe for you it's gambling, maybe for her it's, you know, him it's prostitutes, maybe for her it's, you know, stealing, you know, for me it's, you know, food, like whatever it is. Like at any given moment I have the freedom and ability to be able to stop hurting myself and change. And I believe that because of Narcotics Anonymous. Narcotics Anonymous rocks. like absolutely hands down is the most incredible place that I've ever been in my life. This is the place where miracles happen. We're in the business of saving people's babies, you know, because we were all somebody's baby at one time, you know? So like, where else in the world can you go? And can you share your pain and your suffering and have someone identify with a level of like from here, from like the gut, and understand what like what I'm feeling, you know? Only here can I come in here and share like my thoughts and my pain and get naked with who I am and have a level of identification I don't have anywhere else in the world. Only here can I share that I used to have sheets for curtains and I no longer do. And like, that was the growing point. Only here can I share that I put my dirty dishes in the oven and like hid them from you, like, so that you would maybe think that my house was clean, even though that when you knew it wasn't. You're the only people that understand when I say, I think there's someone in the car seat behind you, and I was using and there wasn't. You're the only people that get that, like, I have a color coordinated kitchen. That's the greatest thing that ever happened to me in my life. You're the only people that understand the first time I got a credit card that I maxed it out on the same very day, buying shit I didn't even like, you know? You're the only people that understand that, like, I can fall in love in 8 weeks and set a wedding date and be married and move out. It's like, you're the only people that get that. Like, I share that stuff with Earthlings and they don't understand it, you know? You're the only people that understand that when I say that, like, my granddaughter calls me Uma, I'm an Uma, and my grandson, and that they tell me that they love me, that I feel like the richest woman in the world, because I wasn't capable of being a mother to their mother for a very long time. And today I'm like, I am an incredible Uma. And for that, I have Narcotics Anonymous to thank. I am so grateful for this. You guys are so awesome. This was so awkward and so wonderful all at the same time. How could I have both those feelings in the same ball? I got them right here. Laura, I was just teasing you, honey. I love you. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Colleen. I'm going to unmute everybody. Let's give some love.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you.
Thank you, Colleen.
Colleen, we're so happy.
All right. Thank you very, very much for that share. Again, thank you to Kevin and Colleen for 2 great shares there. That's what a Saturday night main speaker is supposed to be like, right there. Yeah, I love it. I'm feeling so fed right now. Before closing our meeting, I have asked Chris to read We Do Recover. Maya is going to put that up on the screen, and I'm going to unmute you. There you go.
Hi, family from El Paso. This is Chris. I'm an addict. This is We Do Recover. When at the end of the road we find that we can no longer function as a human being, either with or without drugs, we all face the same dilemma. What is there left to do? There seems to be this alternative: either go on as best we can to the bitter ends, jails, institutions, or death, or find a new way to live. In years gone by, very few addicts ever had this last choice. Those who are addicted today are more fortunate. For the first time in man's entire history, a simple way has been proving itself in the lives of many addicts. It is available to us all. This is a simple, spiritual, not religious program known as Narcotics Anonymous. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your service. Let me mute you there. All right. And thank you, everybody who attended. Thank you, everybody who's on the live stream. This has been a great experience, but we are not done. We will be back and better than ever tomorrow at 10 a.m. bright and early on Sunday. I'll probably be in my pajamas. But 10 o'clock tomorrow morning, the meeting will be going live. The lobby will open at 9:45. So if you would like to get a reading, please sign up then. And also, if you are interested in bandanas, I've been getting some messages about that. I will be responding to everybody as soon as this meeting is complete. And after a moment of silence for the addicts still sick and suffering, both inside and outside of this virtual room, we will close with the 3rd step prayer. Everyone will stay muted, so please follow along at home. Many of us have said, take my will in my life, guide me in my recovery, and show me how to live. Awesome. Thank you, everybody. Really appreciate it. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it. There was one person on here that did not get unmuted. Are you still on here? I want to try to unmute you to see if that works. Nope, you're not still on here. All right, well, thanks everybody. And yeah. Oh, thank you for the paintbrush. All right. Thank you. Everybody can sign off. I'm gonna go save the video. Also, for anybody who's wanting to check it out, everything is on YouTube. It will be edited and ready to be watched and, you know, enjoyed again, because that was fire. So I know what my next weekends are gonna look like. But again, just search for ARCNA 34 Zoom on YouTube, and I don't know if I'm holding that. And you can relive all of the action of ARCNA 34 Zoom edition. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night. See you guys tomorrow. And great job, co-host team. Very well done.
Great job, you guys. You guys did a fantastic job.
Everything go well? Everybody happy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, we got.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
All right, cool. Well, if anybody thinks of anything that we could have done better, any notes, anything else, just let me know. And I will see you guys bright and early tomorrow morning.
Cool. Good night, guys. Love y'all.
I'm gonna go do some
Night.
editing. Love you guys.
Night, everybody.
Say bye-bye. Say bye-bye.
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 Bye. Bye.
Oh, now you're gonna be shy? Now you're gonna be shy? Really?
Aw.
Now he's gonna be shy, of course.
Of course.
There we go.
There we go.
Yay.
Bye.
Yay, bye-bye. All right, everybody. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Have a great night.